We've covered plenty of stories on this channel of clubs that are at risk or are going to be liquidated, and this one is another really sad one. Worksop Town, the fourth oldest football club in the world, founded in 1861, need to raise some money by the end of the month or else they are going to have the same fate as a number of other teams and cease to exist. We're going to look into the fundraising efforts, who's getting involved and how much they need to raise in what sort of time period right after this. Before we start, this video has been kindly sponsored by our channel sponsors, OneFootball. There's lots of things included in this app, such as latest news from across the world, news that is tailored specifically to what you want to see, and the latest viral football videos. So the Nottinghamshire side won their first league title in 46 years last season, getting promoted up to the 8th tier. And in that season they set a new club record of getting 22 consecutive wins. What a season last season was. They currently placed 14th in the Northern Premier League Division 1 at South East. So as I mentioned, Worksop Town are the fourth oldest football club in the world. The only three that are older than them are Sheffield FC, Hallam FC and Cray Wanderers. However, the club now needs to raise £30,000 by the end of February just to survive. As a result, they're trying to get 300 fans, local businesses and sponsors to each donate £100. That would get them that £30,000, and in addition they'll give them certain benefits in and around the ground. They described this as an emergency fundraising appeal, and the likes of Jeff Stelling has got involved. He said he wants to help and donate £100. He's also put it on his Twitter, which has got a lot of followers, so it's going to help expose the situation to a lot of other people. The club's life president, Keith Illett, has described this as a crisis point in the club's history. The club has faced financial problems in the past. He has approached the owner of the ground, a man called Peter Whitehead. He wants him to go and be the new chairman of the club, and he's agreed to do that, providing that the club can raise that £30,000 by the end of February. In return for donating, the names of all the donators will be put onto a plaque which will be placed in the ground, and each person will receive a club membership pass which will entitle them to certain benefits in and around the club. As with what happens in football, this club has gone from a massive high of winning the league, getting promoted, 22 consecutive wins, to now being in financial peril. But this is kind of what happens in football, especially at lower levels, and especially when you do put loads of money into one particular season, as I would imagine they've done, to go and win 22 games in a row and get promoted. That, I would have thought, has meant that they've gone and overspent last season. Whether that spending has continued to this season or whether they had to really rein it back earlier on in the year, I'm not 100% sure. But when clubs get stuck at a certain level and they want to get out of it, then they will just go and spend too much. It's a bit of a reckless game, football, but that's kind of just what happens. It's part and parcel of the game, and these financial problems that the club is going into now are not dissimilar to the problems that a lot of other clubs up and down the land, right across non-league, have had, both present and a lot in the past. There'll be a lot in the future as well. It's very hard, especially for teams in non-league, to be sustainable when lots of different income sources are so low. It means that your budget has to be very, very low as well. Clubs that are semi-professional, they are literally relying on volunteers for pretty much every part of the club, and then just paying their players, especially as you get down into lower levels of the leagues. They're only paying them very small amounts. Obviously, to attract those better players, you need to go and spend more, and this is what makes spending unsustainable. Teams spend beyond their means. They want to have a bit of fun, have a bit of success, but ultimately, if it's not sustained in the long term, it's going to come back and bite them. And I'm not saying that Worksop have definitely got an overspent, but this is likely what has happened. And to owe £30,000 in the grand scheme of football, that is such an insignificant amount of money, especially if you compare that to the top levels of the game. A lot of people say that non-league clubs should receive some of the money that the Premier League clubs have, and Premier League clubs could donate some to non-league clubs if they're in financial problems, for example. I don't personally agree with this, because these Premier League clubs are making the money in their own right. They're part and parcel of being in the Premier League, also the teams of the Football League and Championship as well. They generate a lot of money. Why should they as businesses have to give their money to teams in the lower leagues that are completely unrelated to them? It's effectively like going to Tesco as a little corner shop and saying, look, we're struggling financially. Tesco, can you give us some money? Tesco aren't going to give that little corner shop any money really, because what's the point? That's the same in football, in my opinion, but people just don't see it that way because they all see football clubs as thinking they should help each other when ultimately they are rival businesses. Especially when a business is massive compared to a small business, I don't see why that massive business just out of their own back pocket, just through kindness, have to help support a lower league team. It would be nice if that happened and teams did work together, but ultimately it's not really going to happen. However, Worksop are one of the oldest clubs in the world. It's sad to see a club that's that old, that's a real root in our beautiful game, potentially going into financial troubles. But if you look at the other three that are older than them, Sheffield FC, Hallam FC and Cray Wanderers, they also play in the lower leagues of English football. So just because they're an old team doesn't mean that they should go on and have success automatically, or that they should get some funding from the higher levels of the game. But regardless, having said all of that, I do really hope they do find a way out of this. I hope they find a way to sort their financial problems out and that they do continue as a club, because even lower league clubs, as I've said so many times, they're really important in their local communities, serving their communities on and off the pitch, and that is really important. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit the like button and click subscribe as well, so update with lots of different information from non-league football, top 10 lists, unique situations, just like this one. Also leave the link in the description if you want to go and donate to Worksop Town. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.